So you just reached level 40 in the Division 2 and you have no idea what you need to do next? Well, this is the video for you. This is the complete endgame guide for the Division 2. My name is NothingButSkillz. Let's dive into it. So the first thing we're gonna get into is specializations. What is it and how to level it? So you first unlock your specializations at level 30, but you really don't focus on leveling them much until level 40. Now, you should have 3 specializations already unlocked, and if you have the year 1 pass, you might have the other 3 already unlocked. If you don't, well, then you need to do the technician, firewall, and gunner tasks to unlock those. As you guys can see here, I have the technician class. I'm gonna open it up for you. You would need to complete these 5 objectives in order to finally unlock the technician class once you get to objective number 5. Now, each specialization has its own unique specialized weapon, but the specialized weapon isn't what makes the specialization really good. What makes them so good is each one of these specializations has their own unique perks, and depending on what type of build you are creating, could determine which specialization you actually use. Now, to level up your skill tree for the specialization, you need to earn specialization points. Now, to earn these, you can do a few different activities. The first thing you could do is do your weekly invaded missions. So your weekly invaded missions will reward you with 5 specialization points. As you guys see right here, it's awarding me 5 gunner points. And you can redo these once a week as they do reset weekly. Now, you can also earn specialization points from doing your daily mission. As you guys can see, I get 3 specialization points here. You can do your weekly projects, which will reward you 5 specialization points. And every time you level up 1 shade level in the Division 2, you will also receive 3 specialization points. Now, it takes 165 specialization points to fully max out 1 specialization skill tree. Now, one thing you need to remember, if you are trying to earn specialization points for a specific specialization, you must have that specialization active. So if you want to earn for the gunner class, you must have the gunner selected. Now, the Shade Watch is something else you get right when you hit level 40, but many of you might ask, what does it actually do? How do you level it? Well, your Shade Watch is essentially a power creep. It makes you stronger in the game. So by leveling up your Shade level, you'll earn points to spec into your Shade Watch. You can go all the way up to 50 points in each watch. And just example of the few stats that you can get 10% weapon damage, 10% total armor. You can get handling bonuses, even skill damage bonuses from this watch. That's why essentially you want to at least get to Shade level 1000, because that will allow you to fully complete all 4 squares from all 4 categories. If you want to get the max health boost, which is plus 60,000, you will need to reach 2000 Shade level. So 1,000 to fill out all the squares, and then another 1,000 to get max health bonus. On top of all that, after 1,000 Shade level, all the points you earn will be given to you as scavenging points, and you can use these points for different materials that you can use to craft gear, reroll items, or anything you may need it for. And remember, every 700,000 in-game XP is 1 Shade level. So you understand specializations, and now you understand the Shade Watch, but what about builds? Well, you know you need a build, but you have no idea how they work. So in the Division 2, we have what's called brand sets, gear sets, and exotics. This in front of me is a brand set, and a brand set will have 3 bonuses tied to that. So if I were to have 1 piece of this brand set, which is called Grupo Sombra, I get 13% crit damage. If I had 2 pieces, I would get 20% explosive damage, and 3 pieces, 13% headshot damage. Now we have gear sets, which have 4-piece bonuses. For 2 pieces, you would unlock a 2-piece set. As on this one is 15% weapon handling. The 3-piece gives us 15% rate of fire. And then the 4-piece, that is the special talent from the green gear set, and that's why you need 4 pieces to unlock it. Now on the chest and on the backpack for the green gear sets, they also have a special talent that is specific to that green set and running 4 pieces. Now remember, brand sets also have talents on the chest piece and on the backpack. And then for our last gear piece, we have exotics. Exotics are a rare item to get, and you can only use 1 exotic gear piece per your build, and they have unique talents that make them special. Now, say if you're out there farming and you get an item and it has really good rolls, but it doesn't have a talent you would like to have on there. Well, you can re-roll the talent for another talent as long as it's in your library. Say it has a talent you want, but it doesn't have an attribute you want. Well, as long as you have the attribute that you want in your library, you can swap that out. Now you can do this with all high-end gear, and you can even do attributes on green gear sets. Now you can only recalibrate one item per gear set or brand set, and then you can optimize the other items to get those items fully maxed out. Now there is something called named items, and these come on high-end pieces, and the named items will have either a perfect talent on the chest or backpack, or some type of unique attribute like this holster, which gives you 5% rate of fire. Now, weapons also have high-end weapons, exotic weapons, and named weapons. And just like the named gear pieces, they either have a perfect talent or maybe they have a perfect attribute. Now, something you need to remember about weapons is your core attributes are set, meaning you can't reroll those, but you can reroll the talent or the attribute. But remember, if it's a named weapon and has a perfect talent, then you can only recalibrate that one attribute. But if we look at the named weapon like the Lexington, which the buff is in the total damage, well, you're still able to recalibrate the attribute or even the talent itself. Now, the Dark Winter, which has a perfect killer talent, well, now you can only recalibrate the attribute. But if we look at this exotic weapon called the St. Omos, you cannot recalibrate anything on it. But there is something called re-rolling it, but you do need an exotic blueprint. So once you get a new exotic that dropped for you, you can actually go to the blueprint vendor and she will sell you the exotic blueprint for that exotic that you would like to re-roll, which is the St. Omos. I purchased it from her, and now I can go to the crafting vendor, go down to this bottom right here. I see the St. Omos, and as long as I have all the materials here plus the St. Omos, I can re-roll it and hopefully get that damage to sharks out of cover, which is going to be best in slot for this. If you are making a second character because you want to play on your second character, you can always buy the account share blueprints and account shared material, and that will share all the blueprints and materials from your main character to this character. But what are builds without weapon mods? How do you unlock them, you may ask? Well, you may have unlocked some by doing some of the side missions or just your first playthrough. You do need to go to the crafting bench and you will need to craft them if you haven't already. But if you have crafted all those, you might even notice that there are a ton of mods that are locked behind either level 3 or higher control points, behind projects, summon challenges, even invaded missions have a chance of dropping some of those blueprints. So if we open up our map and we go over the invaded mission, you'll see on the left hand side it says crafting blueprints. You'll see that for all of the invaded missions, and you'll also see that for every level 3 or higher control point on left hand side it also says crafting blueprint. Now, I also mentioned projects. You also see every project that allows you, like the daily mission or the weekly projects, all say crafting blueprint on the left hand side too. And that's where you can get some of those most sought after mods in the Division 2 right now. And farming builds in Division 2 has never been easier. If you open up your map and you go down to the bottom right where it says targeted loot, you can click on it and it will bring up every single targeted loot item currently available for this 24 hours. Yes, this rotates every 24 hours. So you can go around looking for maybe the brand set or gear set that you need. And if you see it, you can either farm that mission, those control points, maybe the dark zone. But it even gets better because we have these modes called Countdown, Summit, and even Retaliation. And what is cool about those 3 modes is you can select the targeted loot that you want. So if I go up to this top right here, or go over here to Summit, I can select the exact target loot that I want. So if I'm looking for strikers, or if I'm looking for a brand set or a weapon type, I can go to Countdown, I can go to Summit, or even play Retaliation and do just that. Now, remember, Countdown can be found in the menu, or you can find it at the pilot. I recommend selecting challenging if you plan on doing this. And just to give you a quick overview of what challenging is when you first launch in, your goal with your team is to take over these red symbols right here. These are going to give you power buffs for the entire countdown run. Now, defending these are going to be hunters, so be very careful. They hit really hard. Make sure you go with your team. Capture all 3, and then you guys can focus on the objective. You need to complete 2 objectives to unlock the main objective for countdown. Now, once you complete the main objective, you'll need to extract. One thing I will tell you, you're going to run into some more hunters. And if you're new and this is the first time, make sure you guys aren't using any skills, because those hunters will hack those skills and then kill your teammates with those skills. So do not run any skill damage skills for the hunters at the extraction, or you could lose half of your team and end up costing you guys the objective. And since we're farming all that gear, well, now we need to know what to do with it towards our library and leveling up our expertise. So you know there is a tinkering station right here at the base of operation, but you can also access this tinkering station from your main menu. If you go to your inventory where you see your build at the bottom, it says tinkering station, and this allows you to add things to your library or add things to your expertise when you are out in the open world in a mission. As long as you're not in combat, you can access this library. Now, my recommendation, whenever you guys are adding anything to your library, this is the rotation you should go with. I would add all the talents from my weapons, all the talents from my chest piece and my backpacks, all the max rolls, and then everything else, I would not add it to my library unless there is an attribute that you really need. Even if it's not max roll, but you want it for your builds, then maybe, because you can only add those attributes to your build if they're in your library. So everything else, we donate it to our expertise. And what that does is it's going to start getting more of our items proficient. The more items you have proficient, the higher your expertise level will be. One item has 10 ranks. If you get 10 ranks in one item, it becomes proficient. So the only way to get items proficient is by either donating that item, by using that item, or by donating materials to that item. But if you are a newer player or a returning player, you might not have all the materials to be wasting on donating. So your main way of getting expertise up is by either using the gear or donating the gear to your expertise. And why do you even care about expertise? Well, expertise is essentially another power level, right? Because the higher your expertise, the more you can put in your weapons, your gear, or even your skills, which essentially that turns into more weapon damage, more armor, more skill damage, skill duration, depending on what it does. If we look right here, we're seeing my Lexington. If I were to put one expertise, you can see it gives me 1% weapon damage. Now I can raise this up all the way to 16 expertise, but each time I level it up, I will have to use materials. And the higher you go, you'll start using exotic materials to get your expertise up on those weapons or gear. And if you want a full breakdown of expertise, I do have a full video dedicated just to expertise, and I'll have that link to that video in the description of this video, so that way you guys can check it out if you're still unsure of how expertise works. Now, a mode I did mention earlier for farming gear, because you can select your gear by targeted loot, is Retaliations. Now, how does Retaliations work? Well, Retaliation has a meter. If you notice on the left-hand side, we have the circles. The red circle means my Retaliation is ready to launch. The circle that has nothing in it, that means that I haven't done anything with True Sons. And the white circle below with the Outcast means that it's ready to go, but you can only have one active Retaliation, which is the red symbol. Now, to charge these meters, you either have to do missions versus that faction, control points, activities, strongholds, and those will charge the meters. And once they are fully charged, then you can activate the Retaliation. Just like Countdown and Summit, you can target loot exactly what you're looking for, which is a more exciting way to farm loot. And Retaliations even get better. Did you know if you go to your crafting table, you go down here, you can see all the exotic blueprints you can earn from playing Retaliations. And these blueprints aren't to re-roll your exotics. These are to actually craft those exotics. So if you're tired of spamming targeted loot weapons, gear types for that exotic, well, you can actually farm some of these exotic blueprints, and they are only available in Retaliation. Now, you can earn them by completing a Retaliation, or some of them are from the kill squads that are in that specific faction type Retaliation. If you go over the exotic weapon or gear you want, it will tell you on the top right where exactly you can get it from which kill squad. And some of you might ask, why should I even do any of the Manhunt missions? Well, Manhunt missions are the climax missions from every season. But did you know from the first 4 climax missions, there is a skill that you can get from each one of these, from Jupiter, Hornet, Schaefer, or Fei Lao? Yes, there's a skill. Now, for the rest of them, there are apparel items that are in here that I don't want to spoil anything from you, that you can earn from completing these. And then the final 5 climax missions, we started getting exclusive exotics tied to those missions, plus they are available in the hardest difficulty in this game, Master Difficulty. To unlock Master Difficulty for any Master Difficulty mission, you need to at least beat it on Heroic or below, and then it will unlock Master Difficulty for you. And if you like hearing some of the most challenging content in the game, we do have multiple strongholds that you can do on Legendary difficulty, and we have 2 raids in case you enjoy raiding, and we have 1 incursion, which is like a 4-man raid. If you're into solving puzzles in games, we have these hidden hunters that you have to solve where you can earn Hunter Mask. In Warlords of New York, we have 13. In the base game, we have 12. And in Battle for Brooklyn, we have 8 more. If you want to do any PvP endgame content, you have Conflict, and the Dark Zone. Conflict is a 4v4 mode where all the stats are normalized. You can either play Skirmish, Team Deathmatch, or even Domination. I personally prefer Skirmish, the best out of the 3 modes, but definitely give them a shot if you love dabbling in PvP. The Dark Zone is a no-holds-barred area where your builds truly matter. No stats are normalized. Expertise actually matters in the Dark Zone, so just be careful when you go in there. Now, everything you do loot in the Dark Zone does go into a contamination bag, and I'll show you that in just a second. Now, once you have a contamination item, you need to extract it, or if you are killed, you will lose everything in that bag. But you do not lose the build that you go in with. So it's not like an extraction shooter where everything is lost upon death. Well, in this mode, it really is just what's in that contamination bag. Now, once you arrive to an extraction zone, you can call for an extraction, and then you must put your loot on the bag and then wait for it to be extracted. And don't worry, there probably will be somebody coming to try to fight you to steal your loot. As you guys see, there is a rogue agent in front of me, and obviously he wants the 1 piece of item that I put on there to demonstrate this video, but well, we're gonna fight for it, and here we go. Again, this area is a no holds bar area. The winner takes the loot and the loser goes back to the checkpoint. And that's pretty much the Dark Zone in a nutshell for you. Final thing I wanted to touch on is farming exotics, because I know a lot of you guys see the exotics and you're like, where can you get them? Well, remember, you can get most of the exotics from just target farming that specific gear item or that specific weapon. Countdown is a great place to do it because you get a lot of drops. Summit is also good too. I personally do like Countdown a lot because when you do a successful countdown, you'll get countdown points. You can come to this vendor here, go all the way down to the bottom, and then you could spend your points there for exotic cache. And these exotic caches have a chance of dropping almost every exotic in the game. There are a few exotics that aren't in exotic caches, like the Bighorn, which is tied to legendary content, so legendary summit or legendary strongholds. You have the raid exotics from the Eagle Bear, the Ravenous, the Regulus tied to the raids themselves, and you have the Ouroboros tied to the incursion. I hope this video was detailed enough that now you are ready to tackle endgame in the Division 2. Now remember, there is always evolving information with endgame. When the new seasons come out, we get new journeys, new manhunts, and there will be updated videos for that alone. But this guide right here was really to hit the core aspect of endgame in the Division 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you did, drop a like, hit subscribe. Hey, Nothing But Skills is out.